What's going on, y'all? Jesus with Corpus Christi Originals. In this podcast episode, we had the pleasure of having on as our guest Mayra Zamora with Mayra Art. Mayra is a local artist in Corpus Christi, Texas. And we just have a conversation about a little bit about her background and, her thoughts on Mexican-American studies and all kinds of stuff that she's interested in. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Zamora, welcome to the show, Mayra.
Thank you for having me.
How did you feel when we initially invited you on the show?
I was like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm always 100.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's cool. So I know you. So we gave you, we wanted to bless you with a shirt when we first started out, and you were like, shoot, yeah, come on. So we met somewhere. How did you feel about us giving you some free merch?
Well, I'm never going to say no to free merch. But at the same time, your designs that you're putting out are so unique, and they're so very much like Corpus Christi cultura, like raza based, if that makes sense to the viewers out there. Very based in Latinx culture, which I love. So I was a fan from the get-go since you started putting out all your stickers and your t-shirts and now hats.
Yeah. So what are some of the elements in particular that you can touch on as far as like the type of designs that we come up with that you can say that's part of the culture?
Right. Well, the first one right there, the one that's in your logo, the Corpus Christi one, where you're always putting the calavera in there, and that's highly rooted in Latino culture. Before the Spaniards came, and when it was with the Aztecas, you didn't see none of that embellishment that we see nowadays. So I feel like that's very paying tribute to indigenous culture as well. In terms of like Corpus, cultura, and raza, you have a lot of tropical things as well. And color. So I'm just digging everything that you're doing. And I don't know, do you design them yourself, or I forget you have local artists?
No, I have a place that I go online. I pay a monthly fee and I find different ideas and I just kind of piece them together. That's what I do. That's why when I first met with you, I was like thinking maybe you could get some artists to design stuff for us, because I do a little bit of design, but not, high level or whatever. So most of the stuff you see is pieced together from different elements that I find online.
Gotcha. Yeah. But it also has like a LA vibe to it.
Really?
Here for Corpus. Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, I love the LA vibe that it's so awesome. I wish we had it here more, you know what I mean? And I feel like they're more out with it and we're more kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want that that's kind of why I like this stuff, and it's like, dude, put it out there. Why don't we do it like that? Why don't we wear Chucks all the time if we want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Braid our hair, same like you. And I love it. That's what I love about it.
But it takes people like you to start putting things out there, it just takes one person.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I love that. So you're not originally from Corpus. You born in Austin, grew up in Tivoli.
You got it.
Tivoli from K through 12? Okay. And then Mr. Garza, I know I heard that name a few times in some of your interviews. So Mr. Garza had a major influence on you to take the route that you decided to take. Shout out
Mr. G.
Yeah, Mr. G. So what are some of the things that you learned from him? I know you learned art and stuff, but I mean, why was he a major influence upon you?
Number one, representation is so important. So he was Latino, he spoke Spanish, so it was very easy for him to communicate with my parents. My parents only speak Spanish. And when I grew up too, my first language was Spanish. So when I went to kindergarten, we communicated together through Spanish. As I got older, since I was in kinder, he just saw that I had potential and I had talent. So he taught me mostly not much technique, but to be yourself and just keep experimenting. And I really feel that I was able to develop my own style because of Mr. Garza, because he let me do whatever I wanted in class. It was different. It was a small town, it's not like here we have 500 kids. Like my graduating class was only 9 girls. So it was a small school, but he's the one who told my parents that I had a potential to make it in the arts. But I wanted to do fashion design, but he even pushed my parents like, no, Mayra has it. She can do it. Just kind of trust her a little bit. So
Wow.
I will forever be grateful for Mr. Garza, and which is why I'm a teacher nowadays as well.
That's awesome. So do you find yourself kind of in his shoes whenever you're teaching your kids?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I feel like I consider myself more of a mentor than anything above a teacher. It's just guiding the students of what they have and just bringing their vision to reality. I always say, oh, that looks good, but this is how you can make it great.
Wow, man, that's awesome. It's cool. It's letting them express themselves through art. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and I like your designs because they're real like geometric or whatever. Like one side you have on the other side, it like mirrors itself. And I did stuff like that when I was younger, like in art class. I remember doing triangles and
Mm-hmm.
circles and just making art out of it. And I remember my teacher, take because this was in class, like a regular class. She took me to the art teacher. She's like, "Hey, check this out," you know what I mean? So, and I have always loved art, and I've always had a way to express myself, even though I'm not in art. Like I could feel myself getting stressed out, and if I get a pen and a pad and just start drawing with the pencil, like that helps me relieve stress. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a connection between those two for
For
you?
sure. It's when I'm in, especially when I'm in the classroom, because I tell the kids I work at ECDC and I'm only there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Sorry,
Mhm.
they're cleaning up. I don't know if you hear them
That is very faint.
blow.
I can barely hear it.
Okay, good. So you can hear me. Perfect. So at ECDC, I only work there Thursdays and Fridays, and I told the kids, "Hey, you're not getting a grade. If anything, this is more like therapy. This is like a
Mm.
stress-free zone. This is for you to just relax and have a good time." So I often think of our military, our veterans, or people who have mental disorders. I think art is the perfect avenue to put everything you're thinking up here, but onto paper.
Right, for sure. Is that so? Is that one of the reasons why you work with the senior citizens?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Now they're getting really loud. They're like
That's
right
okay.
here.
That's okay. Uh, yeah, that's yeah, for the senior citizens, I imagine that would help their brain. And I feel like that what you were talking about here, it it's not as important. It's not made as important as it should be.
Oh, for sure. Because one of the first things that they cut in school, what is it? It's the arts.
Exactly.
And they go to they put all the money into sports, which is great, which is great. You're gonna have some students that are gonna be athletes, but as a teacher, we're prepping future artists as well. Art is in every facet of every job that you can think of, and
Right.
yet it's not deemed important. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's like funding is more important than art. Because I'm a musician and I feel
Mhm.
the same way about music. Like, dude, music, it's good for the brain. If you learn how to play an instrument, I believe everybody can play some kind of instrument for the sake of their mental wellness. And
Mhm.
it's like, dude, why aren't, because I taught for maybe like 7 months in San Diego, Texas. I taught music, and that setting just wasn't for me. Because of that was one of the reasons. The other reason was like I'm a man, like I'm very blunt sometimes too, and so a lot of times my mouth can get me in trouble. So that's another reason why I'm not in that setting. But it's like, why do we put the bad kids? Why do we decide to put the bad kids in art and music just so that they can pass and go to the next grade level?
Oh,
And,
I'm glad that you brought that up, because the kids that were always deemed bad, and
right,
I use quotation marks because it's quotations mark, because when they
right,
were in my classroom, they were some of the best artists that I had.
right on.
But it's also that mentality when you go into the classroom and you tell the student, like, I don't think you're a bad kid. I think you're misunderstood.
Right.
But think about all the kids who are on the street who like to tag,
Mm,
and I've had the older generation tell me, like, well, what do you think about that? Like, number one, I don't think that's cool, because you shouldn't vandalize anything. But
right.
at the second time, where do they have the capability to express themselves in that format in street art? So there need
Exactly.
to be more programs that cater to street art as well.
Yes, I substitute taught at Moody High School, and the kids would have a book. It was a black
Hmm.
book, and they would pass it around to other taggers, and they would never know who had the book, but they would tag in the book. It was like a little community they had. It was awesome, and just like you're saying, like there's no outlet other than among themselves to tag and show like their craft to other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wish we had more of that, and I hope that we can have more of that stuff there. So
Hopefully, I know there's people in town that always want to give back to the community, and one of the first persons I think about is Jeremy Flores.
Right. Yes, of course. Definitely. Yeah, Jeremy, man, he's killing it. I think he started tagging, didn't he? I mean, a lot of his stuff. I see his stuff around town still. Like it's seen Dask over here on the side of the tattoo shop over here somewhere. And he's definitely killing it, man. I love his stuff a lot too.
So I would love the youth to get to know him.
Yes.
I'm sure they do. He's out there.
He's out there, and it's like his story is awesome. Like his story is, I mean, your story is awesome too. It's like we all have a story, and I just go back to that. Like we all got a story, and representation, like you said, is big among our youth. And I like what you're doing. It seems like you're working really hard to have that representation. I mean, yeah.
I know people always like, man, you work so hard, but because of COVID, I feel like I was away for 2 years. I feel like I took a hiatus, and people are like, but you were still out there. I was like, no, but I have not been out in the community the way I used to. And like before we started recording live, I told you it takes a lot more energy for me to be out there in the public because I was away for 2 years. But slowly but little, poquito a poquito, I'm getting back out there, and I'm starting to feel like my old self again.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing how that COVID just hit everybody. I mean,
and we're still in COVID. People forget COVID still exists, and there's other strains. So I'm just being cautious and
So were you able to do work during COVID? I mean, because there was a thing you said where artists in COVID, before COVID, after COVID, they look exactly the same.
Exactly, because some of us artists were very social, but at the same time, we're like hermit crabs. We love to just be in our studios and away from the public and just be in our own cave.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. So when COVID hit, I was like, man, it was nothing new, just being inside. But man, was not expecting 2 years. After the first year, I was like, man, I did some work. I did the Hermit and Herman mural. That's probably the thing that kept my sanity.
Right.
My brain going. Wow. And I did a couple of commissions here and there, but I still don't feel like I'm 100% like I was in 2019. No, I'm not quite there yet.
Right.
Getting there.
Wow, that's cool. So you did the Hermit and Hermit. Man, how long did that take? How long did it take you?
Hermit and Hermit. We started actually talking about it in 2019 with Eric Holguin. So shout out to Eric Holguin. And then we actually started painting it in 2020 in April. We finished in May because I had nothing to do. So that was my only job at the time. So it took us about a month. And then we waited a whole nother year, and then we completed it. We completed the whole building. So roughly about between 2 to 3 years.
Wow, man. That's a long time.
It is a long time.
It's a long time, but that's dedication. Yeah, go ahead.
It is dedication, yes. Murals take a long time. Some people are really fast, but my work is so geometric. My students and my co-workers can tell you that I have calmed down a lot. I used to be like, it has to be perfect. The line is crooked. And I'm like, and now the final test is a picture. If it looks good if it looks good on the camera, then we're good to go. So I'm just like, yeah, Mayra, let it go. Stop. Because if not, shoot, I'll still be there. I would still be there today.
Right on, man. That's funny. So you're perfection. Yeah, it seems like you're real, like I want to say perfectionist, but I don't want to be rude.
Well, I feel like I used to be, but I'm not that anal anymore about my work being so precise, because I've learned that sometimes the most beautiful things in life are things that have imperfection. So I'm like, it's okay, Mayra, just keep going on.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah, it's your art too. Like you want your art. It's like when someone, you compose a piece of music and somebody plays it, you want them to play it the way you wrote it too. It's kind of similar in that sense. So the piece of art that I know that I've seen of yours that before even meeting you is the one by Whataburger across from the street at the art center. Because obviously I go to Whataburger a lot. So I
love Whataburger.
And that's cool. And then I did notice your codex. I did notice that because I like art. I'm into music. And even before you brought it up, I was like, what is that? Because it didn't look like piece of the art, but it looked like it was intentional. So I was looking at it like, hey, maybe that says something. So then I started trying to decode what it was saying. no, and then now knowing, oh, it is a decoder thing that you have to do for your pieces of work. Why did you decide to put that in there?
You got it. This is something I've done since I was a little girl. I've always hidden things in my artwork. It's, when I was in elementary, like if I liked a boy or had a crush on somebody, I would write their name over and over, but then I would hide it. If I hated someone too as well, I would put on there, I hate this person.
Crazy. Wow.
But then I would hide their name and just keep adding lines and shapes. Wow. And then you couldn't see it anymore. So that idea started when I was in elementary. By the time I got to TAMU-CC in undergraduate school, we had to develop a body of work. So I was like, oh, this is a cool time to revisit this. And then just the codex just came out of me, and I would say around 2009. Mm-hmm. And then it's developed, it's gotten more stylized, but I don't know I think the reason it comes out is because all cultures, if you think about it, have their own writing system, their own codex. How is it that we know in 2022 exactly what they say? How do we know that the Aztec codex really is what they were trying to say? I never have to comprehend that with archaeologists. Like, ¿cómo saben? Like, how do you really know that's what it says? Right. So that's what I want people to, when they see my work, like, is there something in there? And the answer is yes, there is something in there. Wow. And nowadays my codex is only in black and white. When I first started in undergraduate, you had very colorful borders, and it's just fun because you're looking at a mural, but I want people to stop and really look. I think there's something on the internet that nowadays, I think it only takes a person. It's very hard for people to stop and look, if that makes sense. They only stop and look for about 5 seconds and move on. So trying to get them to even stay just like a minute, just looking at my work is a big goal. Yeah. So definitely. Yes, viewers in Corpus Christi, when you see my murals, you need to decode it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, man, totally what you're saying there. Cause, I honestly, I just kind of glanced, you know what I mean? I glanced at it. And then when I went to your website, and I was actually looking at the pieces, mm-hmm. There is a lot going on in here. There's a lot. Like, I'm like, holy crap, this is freaking awesome. Like, you got the ojos here. Mm-hmm. You got and then you have a fascination with that. Right.
Oh, yes. Yes. Ojos have been a big part of my life since I was a newborn. If you think about it, that's part of our culture. I have approached many non-Latinos here in the community, and I'm just, hey, can I touch your baby? And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, this is part of the Latino culture. I'm just like touching your baby's forehead, so I won't give them ojo. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, so I won't give them the evil eye because your baby's so cute. Like, I don't want I don't want them to get sick. And they're like, okay. Yeah. So it's also educational based. And I love to go into the classroom and I ask even adults, like, how many of you know about ojo? And some raise their hand and some don't. So it's also educational based. But the ojo, that's my logo. I'm known as Mayra here in town.
Yeah. That's cool. So you kind of got into, like the Egyptians and the eye and all that stuff. Is there do you find that there's some type of connection between like that and like maybe like the Indians that were here did they have that type of symbolism as well?
I don't know about the indigenous cultures having the ojo, but I do know about like the Egyptian culture. I don't remember the name of the ojo, but I can kind of draw it in my head. But I even believe in Hinduism, they have the hand. Yeah. Right. The hand with the ojo inside as well.
Crazy. Yeah. Awesome.
But I'm not educated enough to give you a correct answer.
No, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. So you have so you got a bachelor's in art.
In art.
Right. And then you have a master's in secondary ed. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you were working on your Mexican American studies at Del Mar. Are you still working on that?
Yes, still working on it. So after this class, I only need 2 more left. So I will for sure, hopefully I'm crossing my fingers and everybody's sending good vibes that hopefully I'll be done next spring, because the last class that I need is not offered until next spring. So I'm pretty positive. I hate
when they do that.
Yes, I know. And I was like, and I was talking to my professor, I'm like, you're not offering it in the fall or in the summer? He's like, nope, Mayra, I'm only offering in spring of next year. I was like, oh, okay, well, chucks, I guess I'm not graduating into next year. But my ultimate goal, and I'm a nerd, and I'm 100% proud to be here. I love learning and just researching things, but I would love to be Dr. Z one day. And I always tell people, mark my words, I will be Dr. Z one day in that specific arena in Mexican American studies.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Definitely. You're going to make it. That's going to be awesome.
Thank you. But I encourage other people, even if it's just one class, you're going to be so surprised. You're either going to leave that classroom super pissed off, angry, or you're going to be very emotional. It's been an emotional ride.
Just for the Mexican American study, like a class of Mexican American studies. Is that what you're saying? So why so? Why would that? Why so? Why do you think that?
Oh, because I think a lot of people don't realize that the education system right now, they don't teach a lot of the history, and I feel that you would be stronger connected to your community as well, and it's only going to shape your future as well. But some of my young students don't realize that Texas was a part of Mexico. So, that crossing of the border, I'm like, we've never left. We've always been here. Yeah. But also even learning, this is something I didn't know as well, is that the Aztecas were comprised of two other, I guess you can say, tribes.
Right.
And when Cortez came over, those two tribes were fighting against each other, but then they finally realized that they hated the Aztecas so much, which was why they joined the Spaniards. Also thinking of La Malinche, I'm sure some of our viewers know that La Malinche is known as a traitor, but if you think about it, what else was there for her? She was trying to survive. And people forget how intelligent La Malinche was, because she was a slave and she was sold to all of these different tribes. Crazy. And she ended up, they say she ended up falling in love with Cortez, but I think she was just being a smart woman trying to survive.
Wow, so, man, that's crazy. It's like there's a lot of there's so much history, and like, why don't we know about this?
Yeah, there's too much, and I'm just which I love though. And then just like the development of the Spanish frontier, Mexico, because of the Spanish mines, and the Spanish actually didn't want to kill the Indians, but they brought all the disease. So the Indios died because of disease, and ultimately because they were all dying, they needed more slave workers, more labor workers, I should say, which is why they brought a lot of Africans to Mexico. It's crazy.
God. Yeah, it is. And to know that's that's ancestry. Like,
and when people don't consider African Americans in the Latino culture, Mexicano culture, it's like, dude, they're part of our history as well. In order to keep them kind of happy, the Spanish government, I believe, if I remember correctly, they allowed them to marry Indian women, which is where we get the mulattoes and the mestizos and all the different mixed breeding. I shouldn't say mixed breeding. That sounds bad, but
I understand. Like
intermarriage. There you go. Intermarriage.
Yeah, for sure. And we found a lot of that in like Venezuela and Cuba, those port areas where the slaves kind of went in, and when they mingled and have different shades of people of that nationality or whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah. But so I don't believe in this racism. Like our black primos, they're Mexicanos, they're Latinos as well, so we cannot dismiss them. Mm-hmm. They're part of our culture. Would you say make up our culture?
Right. Would you say that it goes beyond that to where it's like, because like you said in one of your things, that underneath we're all just white, like the skeleton. We're all the same. How do you say? I don't know how you say it, but would you go beyond that and say it's just humanity as a whole?
Yeah.
Like we're all. Yeah,
that's what we talk about in class every single day, about kinsmanship. We're all related somehow, some way, and if we knew that, then I think our world would be a better place.
Yeah, I find it difficult. Like, maybe other people do too. Whenever we whenever we encounter somebody of a different culture, we automatically have a defense up because they don't know our culture and we don't know their culture. And so sometimes we avoid, contact with them or even talking with them just because of that. Do you feel that there's like cultural boundaries in that sense?
I would say, yeah. We always you feel more I feel more connected always when I'm around more Latinos. You know, that's
Right.
just the thing that we share. But I think what we all need to do as a society is just everybody bring everybody's food from their
Mm-hmm.
culture, and let's just sit down
Oh yeah.
and talk.
Yeah.
And then once we sit down at a table eating everybody's food, we're going to see that, yeah, we're different, but we have
Amazing.
so much more similarities at the end of the day, because what are we? Somos humanos. We're human beings.
Yeah, for sure, man. Golly. So you call yourself a Chicana artist.
Mm-hmm.
So before you started doing that, did you feel like you were kind of like out, not outcasted, but kind of outside of something that you could have, you know what I mean? Like, did
Yeah.
you feel outcasted because of that? Because there was nowhere for you to go as an artist?
I 100% yes. I didn't, even to this day, I guess just being an artist, I still never really feel like I fit in to somewhere, even in the Chicano world.
Wow.
But if someone's going to label me, I might as well label myself. But that is what I identify as. I'm Chicana, I'm Mexican, and I'm American. I'm both things, and I'm proud to be Chicana.
Hell yeah.
I go up, you know, the first thing I think I'm a Chicana, you know?
Yeah.
And I love to hear the next generation, especially my little kids, my young students, call themselves Chicanos, which I think is great.
Nice.
Or it doesn't matter if they're like Cuban or Puerto Rican. I'm like, be proud of where you come from. If you're mixed, be proud of both. You're lucky you're from two cultures.
Yeah.
You can just double study.
Hell yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. I first experienced that because I used to go to TAMU CC, and the music building was right next to one of the art galleries. And the art gallery, and it was open, like, I don't know, they had a showing or something. And I know Joe Peña because I worked for him at the Islander Art Gallery. Right there in the Hamlin Shopping Center. And I remember Joe, he had a piece on there, and it was like a cow tongue, and it was called, I think it was labeled lengua. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, there's an actual like thing going on here for, you know, Mexican American artists. And it made me kind of like proud, like, wow, there's like an arena for Mexican artists, you know?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
But I forgot to I kind of forgot to really answer your question. I didn't really start calling myself a Chicana artist until I saw Cheech Marin's private collection at the art museum. I believe around 2009, one of the first times he came down. And when I walked in, you know, I would go to the museums a lot, but I never felt the connection. Right. But when I walked in to see Cheech's show, I said, damn, this is where I belong. This is who I am. I want to be a part of this Chicano art revolution that's been happening since like the 60s. But now I feel a lot of us younger generation, we're really trying to push it to the forefront. I'm all boxing over here.
Yeah, no, man, that's awesome. That's very awesome. And I would have liked to have seen his collection, but it seems like it's really a lot. There's a lot of it going on in California.
Yes, you know I mean, he has Tejanos as well.
Okay.
Nice. Vincent Valdez is probably the one that I most admire. He's from San Antonio. He was young. He was very young when he became part of Cheech's collection, but he does a lot of more realistic, hyper-realistic work.
So the realistic work that he does, is it realistic from like Spanish, like Mexican American roots, or does he take from different types of like European type of art or this type of art and put it into one and just call it Chicano art?
Yeah, I would say yes, because I feel like that's what Joe does as well with this language. He's drawing from European, what they paint over there, but with the Tejano, Chicano, Mexicano roots in there, underlying.
Cool. Yeah. So, why do you think in your art? Why do you think that line, shape, and color are the most important elements in art?
Because they're the basis of art. Like the basic ingredients that you need to make a composition. I'm sure in music, I'm sure there's something equivalent to those elements. Are there elements of music?
Yes, there's a lot. There's harmony, there's melody, you got loudness, softness, you got all kinds of stuff. But like you're saying, the basic is like, you know, you have a chord, you know, you have a theory, one chord goes to the next because of this. And another chord goes to the next because of this. It's like a theory. And I guess I can see that. You know, the basic elements of theory make up songs.
Yeah, but art. Same as if you're a chef or cooking, you have the basic ingredients that you need the foundations that you need to start with.
Right on, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
All
I
right.
mean, but like I don't know. I've always loved line, shape, and color. That's what I've always been drawn to the
Yeah.
most, even as a kid.
How do you pick the colors that are going to go into any given art piece? Uh,
Sometimes it's very intuitive. I just let whatever color,
yeah.
just whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure.
sometimes I'm stuck. So sometimes I'm just there staring at a painting for like a good 3 hours. I'm like literally just doing this, just I'm like, okay. And I'm like kind of painting in my head, okay, if I put a red here, would it look good? If I put a green here, would it look good? But I also always think about basic color theory as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
primary, secondary colors, complementary colors that work together. But then sometimes I'm like, screw it, close your eyes and pick the color.
That's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that color theory. That you mentioned it about the One Nation flag.
Oh,
How you pick? Can you share a little bit about about the colors that you added to there?
the Una Nación, that's probably the painting that has the most color symbolism. There's so much going on there. I took away the 50 stars and made one singular calavera.
Right.
And by the time I finished this was February 2020, right before George Floyd and all of the Black Lives Matter protests, like all the protests that were happening worldwide. And that was my whole intention behind that. And because we always say one nation under God, indivisible. So that's why it came Una Nación. So that's why I put that one singular calavera. And in the eyelashes, I put the symbol for man and women, but in the
nice.
ojos, it's the rainbow to represent the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And the browns represent the earth, the yellow represents the hot sun, and the triangular shapes that are orange represents the mountains, because a lot of our immigrants have to make this huge sacrifice to come to America, and it's very difficult. And then I have about 3 strips of blue around the border with one singular red around, and that's supposed to represent the river and the blood, all the bloodshed that has been I guess sacrificed at the border.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty deep. I'm looking at it right here. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the 4 corners with the black and white, I was like, the first time I did that, that's my art symbol, but for in this particular space, it represents the detention centers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that. Crazy.
Yeah,
I knew
that's
it
what
was
I'm saying. Like people just look at my work, line, shapes, and colors. Yeah, but that one in particular has tremendous color symbolism.
Amazing. Wow. So would you say that most of your stuff is like that, to where it's like there's a story behind, or some
of them, yes, but then some of them, like I said, is purely intuitive, just playing around with color theory, because I love to do a lot of play with warm versus cool colors.
Yeah, for sure. So you learned most of your color theory from Joe Pena?
Yes, I did. He was my professor.
No kidding. Cool, man. Yeah,
I love Joe. Joe also has he's played a big part in my career as well, believing in me, and representation matters. I just going up to a Latino professor, it's very different than going to a non-Latino.
Yeah, man, for sure. Definitely. He's a cool dude. He seems pretty chillax, Awesome, man. I'm looking at my notes here. So are you left-handed or right-handed, or does it matter when you're doing your pieces?
It doesn't matter. I can paint with both.
No kidding.
But I'm more right-handed. Oh, but I hope Monica sees this, but there are sometimes we're painting murals and there you have no option. You have to figure it out. I'm over here trying to paint with my left hand because you can't. It's a wall. You have to move your body, I don't know, in certain ways. So I can paint with both.
Yeah. So do you prefer the mural that you put together, or that you paint first and then you put it on the wall? Or do you prefer the mural that you paint on the wall and not put it together?
Oh, you know painting on the wall, 100%.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's very traditional. That's the old school way of doing it.
Right.
But then when I'm out there painting directly on the wall, especially if I'm painting outside and I start complaining, sometimes it happens. You're out there like, I don't want to be out here. And then I tell myself, Mayra, shut up. You're out here working, doing what you love. And think about your ancestors who had to go pick the crops, or who, just working in construction. Like, stop complaining, Mayra. You are doing what you love.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So what's in the future for you? Like, where are you headed? I know you said you wanted to be a doctor in Mexican American studies,
Hmm.
and you're very involved in the city, like that aspect. Is there a future like for you in that area? I mean, do you see? You know what I mean? Do you have any goals for where you're headed?
Well, I definitely have like a bucket list of, like, I guess people I want to collab with, and corporations that I want to collab with.
Right.
So I'm hoping that some of those come to life, I guess you can say. But
Right.
I do have one great opportunity that I can't really talk about yet
Oh, okay.
because I signed an NDA. But hopefully, if everything goes good, I can talk about it in the next couple of months. But for sure,
Yeah.
what's coming up is June. I'll be at the Garcia Arts and Education Center. I
Mm,
work with the teenagers. So if any parents out there who are looking for a teen camp, that's one
mm,
I recommend. It's called Teens Building Tomorrow. They're there all day, but with me, they're only there from 2 to 5, 2 to 6. We haven't picked the time yet, but they're gonna be
mm.
helping me do another mural. Then in June and July as well for K-Space Contemporary, we're gonna be downtown this year, not at La Palmera.
Wow.
And the applications are up. The deadline's May 15th, and it's absolutely free for
Wow.
teenagers 13 to 17 years old. So go online and just fill out the application because we're looking for serious artists because they have to. They're going to get the experience of submitting a portfolio,
Right.
writing an artist statement, and to us, we thought that was important because it's a leg up for what's really going to happen to them in the future. You have to go through this process, so why
Right.
not start it now? And then I applied to some about 3 murals outside of Corpus Christi, so I'm waiting to hear back from them.
That's awesome.
So I still want to
Wow.
do a lot in Corpus Christi, but I also want to now I want to represent Corpus Christi, if
Right.
that makes sense, in other cities and maybe national.
Yeah. So I mean, so why Corpus Christi? Like, how come you chose? I mean, why did you choose to settle here and just make an impact here? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Well,
Is
first
there?
I love Corpus since I was a little girl. We would always come to Corpus. A lot of people
Oh, wow.
don't know this that I actually would come to Corpus and we would visit the West Side, but I didn't know it was the West Side growing up. But we have family here in Corpus,
Wow.
and then when I was, I think, a junior in Tivoli, I actually got to stay here for a
Hmm.
whole weekend doing a basketball camp. So I got
Yeah.
to spend a whole weekend at the university, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And of course, because of Selena, whenever we would come,
Yeah.
when we would come here, I was like always praying and hoping that we would just like magically run into her. But
That's funny.
yeah, but of course,
Wow.
pobrecita,
Yeah, man,
she's
that's
still our
crazy.
queen. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
just love Corpus because está chiquito, it's small, and I'm from a small town. So to
Hmm.
me, Corpus is a small, big city.
Yeah, for sure.
And and I'm a Pisces, and I love being by the water.
Yeah,
Like
I
if,
was gonna say. So, did you learn how to fish? You live near the water in Tivoli, right?
well,
Did
no,
it,
we didn't live that. We lived.
okay,
It was only 6 miles away from to get to the water, and that's in Oswald. It was used to be Oswald Tivoli. So we have
right?
people from Oswald go to Tivoli at the high school. But no, I never. I think I've only been fishing one time. This Mexicana doesn't know how to swim. People are like, you
Yeah.
know how to
Oh, really?
swim?
You don't know how to swim?
No, I don't know how to swim
Crazy.
at all.
Wow.
So I need a life jacket for sure. Yeah, my backyard is the water, so I just like love being by the water. It
Yeah.
definitely just calms me down.
Cool,
And if I
man.
go into the beach, dude, I only go
Yeah.
about like where it hits my knees, and I don't go, no, 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 thank you.
That's funny. Wow, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, man, that's awesome. We're like it's like the coast. We're coastal people. I was talking with Priscilla yesterday on the podcast, and she was telling her friends that that she lives near the coast, and they think it's all this nice place, and she's like, no, the water's green over there or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so you did a lot. You played a lot of sports. Do you feel like the ethic that you learned from sports carried over into your I guess what you're doing now? You know what I mean?
Oh, I've never been asked that question, like the correlation between sport and art,
Yeah, yeah,
but 100%. Like I feel like I always tell the students too, and I tell a lot of adults as well, art is like a sport. How do you get better at sports? By
right.
practicing your technique. That's how you do the same thing with art. But I
Yes.
think not in terms of competitiveness, but working with others in like a basketball team, because that's what murals are.
Right.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to experience in Tivoli. I did everything. I did cross country, basketball, track, tennis, golf. Like I did as much as you can think of, but it's just, I don't know what it is. I've always liked to, used to call me like Mighty Mayra.
Yeah.
That was like my high school
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, for sure, man. It seems like you're everywhere, and I could see you doing all the sports, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, but for sure, even being in Tivoli, being in all these different organizations and doing, it taught me how to keep a schedule, time management, how to just schedule your daily life and routine. Right. So I'm very grateful for Tivoli and all of my teachers for making me the person that I am today. Yeah, and just influencing me.
That's awesome. Yeah, because like with sports, it's like you have to have like determination to finish, to get better, and your body is involved, your mind is involved, and it's like I feel like, because I was in sports also, and I feel like that has helped me in my life. Whenever things get hard or tough, it's like, dude, you can do this.
Yes,
like, you know what I mean. Like you can get through this. So I feel like sports has helped me a lot mentally.
And I always think back to cross country.
Right.
Always cross country. I remember being in San Antonio, and it was freezing cold, and it was pouring rain. I was a fast runner. So I remember telling myself, okay, Mayra, if you think about it, it's only 15 minutes of your life. Go for it. So I remember hauling ass, just running, and I'm like, if you can get through that, then you can get through anything.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you push yourself to the limit, like how far you can go.
Yeah. I
man,
definitely, if you ask me what's the thing I miss most about high school, is I miss that sports. I miss just the camaraderie and being in a sports and a team. Because now I'm 35. I just turned 35. My bones hurt. Okay.
Yeah, it gets tough when you get out, for sure.
Now I just ride like my bike. I have like an indoor trainer, and that's what I do. And it's just a mentality thing. It just helps, and that saved my mentality during COVID.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what happens if somebody was to put you inside of a box? What would you do?
I would probably, I don't know. Like, what do you mean inside of a box?
Like, I don't know. I was
like a plexiglass? Like, what would I do to try to get out?
Because you seem like the person, like, don't put me inside of a box. Don't put me in a box. You know what I mean? It seems like you're that type of person. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't want to be in the box, but
it's not like it's like a figure of speech. Like, don't put me in a box. Like, don't box me in.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like a figure of speech. It's like like when you put somebody in the box, you confine them to your rules and to whatever you want them to do. It seems like if somebody was to do that to you, you're like, hell nah, get out. You know what I mean? It seems like you.
I guess I'll respond like this, because one of my main things in art is I always draw a square.
Right.
Always draw a square, which is kind of like a box. And my whole mission in life as well, I was like, well, how many designs can I do within this square?
Right.
So even though if I'm in a box, I would probably try to find different ways to draw inside that box.
Right on.
I don't know.
I really like your shirt, man. You got a bunch of skulls on there. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
eBay.
Yeah, eBay. Here we go. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Mayra.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast, and I think this was like the spurt of energy that I needed. Because remember, I'm telling you, like, these days, like, it takes a lot out of me to go out in public, just because I'm not used to it as much as I was before. Yeah,
is it? I mean, well, I guess because do you feel like you have to go out, like, to socialize? Would you rather be home antisocial, or would you rather be out social?
That's a 50-50 question. Because there are days, don't get me wrong, there are days where I just want to be in my apartment and just watching like Netflix, Hulu, you know, and hang out with my boyfriend or my cats. But there are days where I want to go out. Yeah. And I need to, and I should say this, I need to go network, because part of art is networking. It's who you know. So there are days, that's like I said, it's a 50-50 question.
Right. It's not like you can, I mean, it's like you can do art, yes, but if nobody sees it or hears it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But now, I guess now that I'm 35, I've been doing this here in Corpus Christi since 2008. Thankfully, I don't have to go out as much as I used to because I have developed a little bit of a reputation. Or if they don't know what I look like, at least now they're like, oh, Mayra Zamora, that sounds familiar. Oh, Mayra Zamora, the artist. I'm like, yes, exactly. So
That's
thankfully, I still work, but I feel like I don't have to work as hard.
Has social media played a part in that, in what you're talking about? Like, as far as
I would say, yeah, I would say yes and no. Social media, what I love about social media is doing a lot of behind the scenes, because people just think, oh, I want to hire you to do a mural. Can you do it in a day? And I'm just like, no. Or I need a painting done, and I need it done like this. And I'm like, no, it takes time. And as a creative person, we need time to refresh. So sometimes when you're seeing us do nothing, that's part of the process as well.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So we're not being lazy. We're just gathering the energy and the creative juices to flow again. So we're not lazy, y'all. We just need a little bit of time.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Oh gosh. It's like art. Like art is like being like made to believe like, oh, it's just art. You know what I mean? Like, oh, nonchalant. Oh, it's just music. Anybody could do that. Like, no, dude.
No.
I mean, no, it's not.
I can't even imagine starting a song like just with the tune or with the lyric. You know, I can't fathom that, like how that process goes. But I'm sure it's very similar to art as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because music is it's the arts.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, and we don't just, it doesn't just, I mean, it seems like it comes out of nothing, but we have influences that help us to bring that out. Like, for instance, like Bach, he spent years of his life transposing and transcribing, I think it was Handel's music, which was before his time. So he would transpose it and he would learn how the music would go, right? So he had that influence to create the music that he made. Like, I feel like it's kind of like in art, like you were saying, Joe Pena takes from the European side to create his own style. So there's always influences in art. I feel like that's what I'm thinking about whenever what you were just saying. Artists.
Because I'm very influenced by modern art,
right?
Which is line, shape, and color. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm trying to say goodbye, but
bro, I can talk all day. I have no issue talking.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you, man. I want to say, when you tagged us and you wore our shirt on your Instagram, we got like, I don't know, it was like 5 sales. It was like a handful of sales just from that tag that you posted in. I was like,
really? Awesome.
Yes. Good. I was like, what
but
the heck is going on?
But that's what I was hoping for as well, to bring you customers, because what you do is a business as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. We got to support each other. And I think that's one thing too in the Latino community that sometimes we lack. Is uplifting our fellow Latinos.
Right.
There is a lot who help each other, but I still feel like we're not quite there yet.
Why do we do?
I feel amongst the African American community, man, they're tight.
Right.
They're very solid, and I feel like with us Latinos, we need a little bit more helping each other out.
Yeah, you know, and I'm always kind of asking, like, well, why do we do that to ourselves? You know what I mean? Is it human nature? Or is it just something that we've learned up until now, and that's why we're like that?
And I think a lot has to do with history, with going back to the Aztecas.
Yeah.
Remember, there was those. I feel like I'm reteaching, but there was 3 who were part of the Aztec Empire, and those 2 were against. They hated the Aztecas so much. But imagine if those 2 warred with the Aztecas.
Right.
They would have pushed the Spaniards away.
Wow, that's crazy.
It would have been a whole different world we lived in if that little part of history would have been a little different. Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, right, for sure. But it feels good. It feels good for those that it's kind of surprising in a way sometimes whenever you've received the support from somebody else that, you know, that is, you know, Latino or Hispanic. and because because it's always like, oh, he thinks he's all bad, or oh, it's this. And when you receive it, it's like kind of weird at the same time. It's like you enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I wish we had. I mean, I hope that we have more of that in the future for each other. You know?
I hope so as well.
Yeah, so that our community can grow, our influence can grow. Just it's kind of like we're wanting stuff to mature and get better
Mm-hmm.
instead of it getting worse.
Well, I mean, if you think about Corpus Christi right now, a lot of the older generation is leaving the politics when we're having this young generation come up. So I'm hoping and I'm praying,
yeah,
that finally Corpus Christi will move into a progressive setting. But I don't know. I don't know if we're quite there yet.
What do you mean progressive?
Just more like open-minded.
In
politics and things in general.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Bringing more stuff Corpus Christi. Saying yes to a lot of cool stuff, but also saying no to some things that are not going to contribute to our city.
Right. Yeah, for sure,
we'll see.
Man. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be, like you said, she's pray. Pray and then do the footwork, which, I mean, you know, some of us are doing the footwork, some of us aren't, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah, so
that's
I just hope we see a lot more Latinos in government, education, higher education, just in every facet, every job that you can think of.
Yeah,
and we're getting there.
So you want that to happen so that so we can have more influence? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, more influence and more representation, because a non-Latino, and I'll just say like a white American does not have the same, they don't understand what we go through, people of color.
Right on.
So if you have people of color in office, they'll connect back to the community and hopefully make actual change.
Yeah. Change for the better, for sure. Sure, man. That's awesome. Mayra, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm not going to say anything anymore.
Yeah, no, it's like I was telling another guest, like what we do is we say bye and then we talk for longer and then we say bye again and
but
talk
that's
for
part of the Latino community.
Yes,
we're leaving in 15 minutes and we're leaving until about an hour later.
Yeah, for sure.
That's super normal. So I feel that.
So I drive through Tivoli every I mean, like lately it's been every day because for my work I go to Port Lavaca or to Point Comfort, and then I pass through Tivoli and I see the Canales Cafe and then the little water tower you guys got up there, the store there. There was like a market going on Saturday or something like that.
Oh yeah, they're starting to do little markets, which I think is great. I think what Tivoli is missing, and I know with like some of my classmates that are still living back in Tivoli, I really hope they bring back like the dances.
Oh wow.
Man, I used to love going to the dances in Tivoli.
Like quinceañera type function, you mean?
No, like street dances.
No,
like
kidding.
For 4th of July, for any like just for like a summer thing. Like there used to be dances. Like I feel like all the time there used to be more, and I feel like they lack. But like I'm just thinking about like my friend Charlie who lives back there. I was like, I think they'll do it. Yeah.
So you have a little sister. How is she?
Karina, Karina, she is my best and worst critic. She is not afraid to hold back. So when I'm really struggling, I usually send her. She's VIP. Like she's one of the first people to ever see anything that I'm working on, or she's one of the first people that I tell that I got this opportunity. So I love my sister and I miss my sister, but she's doing great things in Houston.
Oh, good.
She's a teacher out there.
Oh, nice. What does she teach?
She teaches, I believe, 4th and 5th grade math.
Oh, okay. So teachers, you guys, it seems like you guys are like teachers, you know?
Yeah, but my sister also she's also very creative. My sister wanted to be like a pastry chef and she didn't take that route, but my sister's very good at baking and just doing decoration stuff. And she herself is a good little artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would do stuff with me as well.
That's cool. So, I mean, so it seems like you're along with being an artist, it seems like you're an entrepreneur.
And, you know, I feel like I'm starting to call myself an entrepreneur because, like I said, I've been away for 2 years with COVID, and I forgot. I was like, wait, you are a businesswoman, Mayra. Don't forget that. You sell mugs, you sell coffee, you sell stickers and T-shirts. I just haven't done it in a while.
Right.
It is a business.
Yeah, for sure. So you have to pick that up along the way. Like nobody taught you about that.
No, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's something you would think they would teach you at the university, but no, I feel even though I did get a great education, there's a lot of things that I learned on my own, which is why I feel not why I feel, but which is why I do work with the teenagers coming up or emerging artists and just like a throw up of information because I don't want them to go through what I went through. I just want to make it easier for them.
Yeah, right. So do you think a certain way about making money and money being a part of the society that we live in?
I mean, it sucks, like the whole money, because what I really think money is just printed art. If you think about it, it's all it is. It's printed art. It's just printed. It's a plaque that's printed on paper.
Right.
So I'm like, we're working for art every day, but it just sucks because I'm an artist. We all have to eat. We all have to make a living.
Yeah.
So I have to think of ways of how to make my money. Because it's very difficult to sell original paintings, but it's very easy to sell like a sticker or a print.
Yes, and I like that and it's like people just go to like Hobby Lobby and buy a painting for their house, or instead of supporting the art that is around, you know what I mean? And it's
right, because you're getting a unique piece. If you think, even if it costs you $50 or $60, you have a one of a kind piece that no one in the world has.
Yeah. So
when people sell work for thousands of dollars, like think about why they're that. I ain't gonna lie, there's some art where I'm like, seriously, you're selling it for this much? But yes, I don't know. But I feel like my work just takes a lot of time, and just like when people say, "Oh, I want a Picasso," I want people to one day, "Oh, I want a Zamora piece," or "I want to be a Mayra piece," because I truly believe I have a very unique sense of art style.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like the
I always tell people, you better buy your work. You better buy my work now.
Yeah. Nice, man. That's awesome. That's cool that you believe in your stuff and you just do it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because I'm my own boss. I'm my number one cheerleader. Like there are days where I want to quit. Don't get me wrong. Plenty of days I want to stop. But it's the mentality that sports mentality. You got to keep going, keep going.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I can't stop.
I can't stop. Yeah, and if you stop, that's when I feel you really have let yourself down. Because if you keep going and keep going, success will come. Mm-hmm. Beyonce and all of these, Lizzo, like it's just not a overnight success.
Right.
It takes time to be an overnight success. I'm not saying I'm an overnight success, but now I don't have to work as hard.
The work that it takes, the hard work that you have to put in to get there. And it's like you've experienced it and you're still experiencing it.
Am I still there? Sorry, my alarm went off.
That's okay. It went blank for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me?
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. We'll just say bye.
Yeah, I can't hear you anymore, but thank you so much for having me, and hopefully we can do this in the future again, okay? Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, y'all. That was Mayra Zamora. You can check her out. I'll leave links in the description where you can find her on Instagram and her website. Also, if you want to support this podcast or if you want to rep the city, check out our merch at corpuschristioriginals.com.